Hello and welcome to Stroke by Stroke. I am going to be trying some new supplies. I used some of the money that I was given by a viewer to get some new stuff. So I'm going to try some Posca, I'm not sure how to say it. These are, I believe they're acrylic markers. You have to prime them and stuff, but we'll see. I've seen some of the folks that I watch their tutorials on YouTube use these. So I figured, why not? I'll try it. And then I was able to get, I'm going to try this watercolor paper. We'll see. It's extremely inexpensive. And I also have been wanting to try some mixed media paper. And this is the same brand that I use for some other stuff. And it's good. It's, you know, I haven't tried this yet, but it's a nice weight. So I should be able to do some fun stuff with that. And last but not least, I think, yes, I got a couple of these palettes. They are nice and big and were actually relatively inexpensive. So, oh, wow. That's really cool. It has some information here on colors. How cool is that? That's really nice. So, yeah, if you are new to colors, then I do recommend, this is from Essentials. It's a Royal and Langnickel. Yeah, and it's nice and big, has a bunch of different wells that could be used. I have a mazillion palettes. I have my great big, very expensive porcelain palette, and I also have a small porcelain palette, and then I have quite a few of these, which are much smaller. But it's nice. I have a whole bunch of watercolor paints, so this I can never have enough palettes. And I am very excited about these. If you've used these before, shoot me a message. Tell me, you know, did you like them? Did you not like them? And why? Because they are not the cheapest ones out there, but I think they're pretty decent. So, okay. And it's got this fancy little thing here to show you what colors. So I'm gonna start today with one of these bee paper, and I've used bee paper in the past for different things. This is a very nice weight. It's only 140 pound, which is what I usually use, but this actually feels a little thicker to me. It is much smaller. I can get bigger, but I figured to test it because I got burned by the one that was New York Central. Is not a very good one for me, for the way I work. So let's see how these are. I'm gonna have to do this on the side because I didn't make it quite long enough. So, and I'm not measuring, you know, I'm just eyeballing it here. And I always get it crooked. It's all right. And it will often actually curl up, you know, even the last time, I didn't do one yesterday, but the the last time I did one, I used Arch's hot pressed watercolor, and I taped it down, and it rippled. Maybe I'm not taping things properly. I was never really taught how to do this part. I did it again. It's too small. Maggie, honey, shush. How dare neighbors move around and do things? My goodness. I'm gonna do a couple small pieces here just to close those gaps, because I'm not doing very well, apparently, guesstimating the lengths of things. But that's okay. Meh. It'll be kind of... Now that's too weird. So, yeah. Okay, there, that's better. Up, back here. Heavy. I think I got it crooked on the piece of paper, piece of glass. I know I did, actually. Hey, I finally did one that was long enough. All right. And if the glass is crooked, I'll just make the paper be straight. And hopefully, and I don't know if I'm going to use this part. Or if I'm going to skip to when I actually start using stuff. But this is my entire process of getting ready. Okay, good that way. And meh, good enough that way. And, you know, you can always... Alright. This is a wonderful little tool. Okay. So there's that. And it wouldn't be a good test if I don't do it the way that I normally do. So I'm going to go ahead and wet that, because you know how I like to do my wet on wet techniques, and if you don't know that, now you do. And I hit a huge milestone a couple days ago. I hit 10,000 views, and that is because of you guys, so thank you for that. I really do appreciate that you're going out and you're looking at my stuff and you interact with it too, so that means a lot to me. Alright, so what colors to choose? I think I'm gonna come over here. Of course, do I have these labeled? No, I do not. Can I remember what they are? No, not really. I'm pretty sure this is the the one that I like so well. That is M. Graham. What's it called? Gosh, I can't remember the name of it. That's some of the excitement of having brain damage. I can't remember anything. There it is. Anthraquinone blue. I think that's how it's said. And this is the Daniel Smith quinacridone gold. And it's also Da Vinci Payne's Gray. So I'm just going to use those colors. I really like these colors. And so this has had a little chance for the water to maybe seep in a little bit to the paper. Alexa, stop. I had set an alarm to remind me of something, and then got a message that it's not going to happen, so I forgot to cancel the alarm. Okay, so I'm going to start with the blue here. And this paper is, it's a very inexpensive cellulose paper. It's not 100% cotton, so I'm not expecting it to act like the Arches does, because it's fundamentally different, but it's all right. I can tell you right now, I like this, at least in terms of the texture of the paper, much more than I did the, what's it called? New York Central. So that's nice. Yeah, I actually do like that. I think I like this paper. We'll see how it does when I'm done. But so far, it's not doing anything I don't like. And that's the whole point, isn't it? All right, come back to the blue. And it is buckling, but not terribly, actually. That's wonderful. So I may start getting this. I got it at Walmart, you know. You saw the Walmart bag probably at the beginning. But yeah, so far so good with this. Nice. Put some blue over here. And I just love it, how it does that. So, and now let's go over here to the quinacridone gold. This is Daniel Smith. 3 different brands here: M. Graham, Daniel Smith, and Da Vinci. I really do love this paint, this color. This one just makes me extremely happy. And I can see here the parts where it's drier, I'm getting a nice crisp line, and the parts here where it's not, I'm getting the blend, the blur, fuzzy side. Okay. And I'm gonna mix some of the quinacridone gold with some of the anthraquinone blue. Make a nice green here. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of many convenience greens, you know, meaning they're already mixed up. They don't tend to, they tend to, I'm very picky. They look, they're too bright, too Crayola, usually. Not always. Now I'm going to put a little bit of that gold up here in the top. Did you see how it did that? Wow. Of course, if I'm not careful, it'll just make green up in the sky or whatever. I don't even know that this is necessarily a representational image, but it reminds me of clouds and the earth, you know, the ground. So, all right. And I'm gonna put a little bit of the blue with just a little tiny bit of the gold. Put it right here in this corner. And I don't think I'm gonna do it on the other corner. Okay, and now time for the hairdryer and see what happens. Okay, it's not 100% dry, but it's drier. One thing I can see that could eventually be a bit of an issue is I didn't really scrub too much on this, but it did lift fiber. You can see right there. I'm not exactly mad about it because that looks kind of interesting, but I wasn't expecting that to happen. But I'm not overly surprised because, like I said, this is cellulose paper, and cellulose paper isn't nearly as tough as 100% cotton. So it will lift up fibers. Good to know. But honestly, I love the texture. It doesn't have that bizarre pattern that I noticed in some brands. Okay. So now I'm gonna over here, and so I do not want to take and drag wet watercolor splatters throughout. And I am so messy that I would, excuse me, not on purpose, but okay. And so this has some, I call them idiot instructions. So it says to shake it and then pump it after you've got the lid off, and then do it, and then make sure you put the lid back on. So, okay, I have no idea. And you can see there's no paint on the nib. I have to work at it to get it going. Yep, well, there you go. Okay, and once it goes, it goes. So, I'm just gonna do some dots here and there. I like it. It's the first time I've used these, but like I said, I've seen, you know, a few of the people that I follow have done it, have used it, so okay, nice. And once you prime it, it does, I haven't had to prime it again. I'm sure I will each time, you know, because over time it'll change. Okay, so there's the gold. And yeah, I got the lid on nice and tight. Now, I don't know if I'm supposed to store these up or down. I think I'm gonna just put them down. That's how you make that decision. You don't. And so this is the silver. Okay, and now it's going. And now there's white, and this is water-based. It's not oil-based, which is why I chose these. Because I don't want to deal with the oil stuff. Because usually oil-based materials will often have a scent, or not a scent. Well, it does, but I can't really smell that. But it could be have toxic fumes. So okay, and so ooh, yep, the white is, and I mean these are wonderful, and it got me started. and I do love them. And if I want, here, let's compare. These were gifted to me by a friend. In fact, a friend who gave me my very first camera holder to use, and lights to go with it, a light. So yeah, that was so nice. There you go. You can see how different this is. More translucent, and honestly, I like it. I like having the choice now. But this is definitely opaque, which is pretty glorious in and of itself. Okay. And last but not least, here is black. So I'll go ahead and do some black dots here. Not sure quite what I'm doing, but it's all right. It's an experiment, isn't it? And if I were to draw with it, how does that go? And this is different from the alcohol markers too. So I do like trying all kinds of different materials just to see what can happen. Definitely have left the world of representational behind. I'm okay with that. Obviously. If I wasn't, I wouldn't do things like this. I think I want to get more colors of these markers because I would really like to play. I wasn't sure because I don't generally do a whole bunch of geometric things. I do sometimes, but maybe now that I have some better supplies, who knows? Okay. It's not as opaque when I do this, and it is pulling fiber on the paper. Okay. All right, no biggie. I really had no expectations when I started this because I am honestly just experimenting to see what's gonna do what. So all of the things other than the brush and the water in this image and the tape, those are the constants, but everything else are variables. And don't know why I'm bringing science into it, but why not? That's how I roll. And I hope you're enjoying these tutorials, because this one will be a tutorial, and also it's an unboxing, it's a tutorial, and it's an experiment. So, woohoo! Okay, and now finally silver. And I think I'm going to do silver above the white to see what happens there. No, that's more opaque. So dots are opaque with white and not with drawing. It's a polka dot landscape here. Sort of. So I got some plants to put out on my porch and around, and I didn't get too many this time, although I am thinking about getting more, which means that I'll probably get too many. I'm not very good at moderation. That is part of my ADHD and my addictiveness. Impulsivity. It's a real thing, man. But I do so love flowers. Okay. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do a black line here as well. Because it just feels like it needs it. And the paper doesn't really like too many passes of things, because you can see, I don't know if it's showing, you can probably zoom in, when I did the second pass with the white, it definitely the paper wanted to pill up. So I can tell right now that's going to be an issue with this paper. But if I don't work it to death, it'll be just fine. So that's a good lesson. The mixed media paper I have probably would work very well with, let's see here, multiple passes. Might be a little bit of a tougher surface. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll have to, that'll be for maybe a different video, but. And now, and since this is a test, I'm doing it all different ways. That if this was an image for the sake of an image, I don't know that I would do all that. Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't, I don't know. Okay, and now I'm curious, the other the gel pens and stuff, I could actually sort of paint with those. Let's see how permanent this is. Yep, huge difference. I mean, it's moving a little bit, but nothing like the other. Okay, nice. Well, now I feel like I need to do more abstract kinds of things here, so. And that was on paper that I had just wetted, and it did blur a little. Okay. Okay, so that works better, obviously. It would on dry paper. But I'm not mad about it. It was starting to lose a little of its steam there, because I hadn't pumped it for a minute. Okay, this is gold. Okay, so when I put it on next to or over a white one that is not dry, it will kind of blend up a little bit. And now I'm coming into my gold gel pen, which I'm shaking, I don't know why. But this is going to look very different, I would imagine. Yep, and it does. Making everything look like me without my glasses on. And then a silver gel pen. And I'm just coming in with water because I know that that will reactivate. Yeah, I like the gel pens for that reason. I didn't expect that they would do that, but they do. The gel pens actually, I can use the watercolor aspect of those that I couldn't before with the other, with the Posca. Interesting. So I can get some more shading. Okay. Let's see how the paper does with all that. Can do some really interesting things here. So I see a world for both, together and separately. Nice. Now I want to see this. Okay, yeah, it's not. Okay, so it is totally just the gel pens here that are doing that. So cool. And of course the white right in there because it was wet when I put it on. So it's moving around too. And I get on these kicks where I just want to blend and blend and blend because I really am fascinated just in general about when does one thing turn into another, those transitions. And sort of doing almost like an homage to that aspect. Uh-oh, I just broke my thumbnail. I've never had a nail that long in my life. I wasn't trying, I just wasn't using. Okay, now that's weird. Okay. Yeah, the paper will pill up, and that could become an issue. So I just need to be super careful about that. All right then. Okay. I want to do more, oopsie, shading. And see, one of my things that I do too is I will do something to the point of failure. Like when I was a potter, I was told that I could not, because I did porcelain, that I could not do porcelain that would be translucent without slip casting, you know, using slip or something. So I made it my mission to prove that wrong. I didn't like my pottery professor. And you know, when he told me that, it's like I am like the original hold my beer, let me show you. So If you want to manipulate me, tell me I can't do something that I believe that I can. And so I showed him. I don't have very many photos left from that time in my life because it was really before I graduated in '94, and yeah, I didn't have a digital camera yet, and my heyday of pottery was probably 98 to 2001-ish. That was kind of when I was really into the pottery stuff. I had a little following in my hometown where I did my art. I know of at least one person who literally collected my work, and that was always exciting. But, you know, I'm gonna let this dry for a second. Hold that thought. I want to show you something. But this is a piece that it's only been bisque fired. And I made this in what? 2001. But I did overglazes, you know, and I only did it to porcelain, or to, not to porcelain, to bisque stage. But I used low fire glazes on here. It's been broken a few times. I used to have the pieces, but I don't know that I do anymore. But this was actually, believe it or not, this was thrown. And I had this technique that I used to do. You can see how I used to actually pull the edges. This is wickedly sharp. So I'm not surprised that it's broken over time. Several places, this is broken, this is broken, this is definitely broken. But the fact that I have it at all is pretty astonishing. So that was a bizarre flower I did. And then here is a teapot that I did. And it is actually a functioning teapot. Ooh, and there's disgusting things in it, and I don't know what those are. I don't know, bugs or something. But yeah, I call this the mountain teapot. But I fell in love with twisting and doing things, and this was literally, I just did that because I was gonna smooth it over, but I fell in love with that part right there, and that's why I call it the mountain teapot. That's why I did all the strange stuff that I did. But it will actually hold liquid, and it will pour. Actually, I'll show you here. Putting a little bit of water in here. And I'll just pour it back into there. But here you can see how it pours, it functions, and it doesn't drip. That's a big thing. You know, I may not have liked my pottery professor, but he taught me very well. And if you're a potter and you're having trouble with your teapots dripping, if you make the edge very sharp, it kind of cuts the water. So I wasn't intending to show these, but there you go. It seemed to fit right then and there. So I'm gonna go put these back. I will be right back with you. But if I leave them out, I have cats and everybody who will get into them and destroy them. And so I'm gonna come back in here and I'm gonna do a little bit more blending And yeah, the reason that I got off on that little tangent is because I will, when testing things, oftentimes I will take it to the point of collapse, and I appear to have done that with this paper. This area right here is having a bad day. But that's okay. Like I said, I had no expectations here. And the only reason that it's blending so well here is because I used the gel pen. But I can already feel, I can see and feel how the paper is disintegrating. So this is definitely going to be a paper that I can't rework too much. Okay. But I can work it enough to use with it, to work with it, so okay. I really actually do like this paper, even though it's got, you know, some limitations that better quality paper doesn't necessarily have, but that's why it's cheaper. And that's okay. So I will save the arches stuff for situations where arches would be the absolute best thing to use. And I will use paper like this probably for just general painting and playing. Cool. All right. And the creativity possibilities are huge here with this, because I can paint over the Posca and it doesn't do anything. So that's super wonderful. All right, cool, cool, cool. And of course, and for anybody interested, I will put a link in the description. Jacob, the person that I'm using his music in these videos, he put out a new album and I absolutely love it. The title is, if I'm remembering correctly, which I'm not sure, if I screw this up I'll have to change it in post. But I think it's called Borrowed Portrait, and it's about identity and stuff, and it is just so joyful. The whole album is, it's great. And it's his voice too, so and I think he has a wonderful voice, and it changes a lot in that album. He doesn't use the same kind of vocal styling every time. So yeah. So if you're interested, check it out. I'm sure he would appreciate the views. I definitely am a fan of his work, obviously. Let's see here. Okay. And now I'm going to put a little bit more blue here at the bottom, but it's a little bit of the, it's the blue and a little bit of the quinacridone gold as well. There you go. Yeah. Honestly, even though this paper has some issues here and there, it's actually doing quite well with me abusing it here. So that's a happy time. Okay, now just a little tiny bit more of just blue. And I'm gonna be a little bit silly here, but that's okay. I'm gonna do little dots here of this indigo in the sky, just over those black dots. Okay, and it's been a while here since I had this wet in this part, and see how it's bleeding out? I can tell it's not sitting on the surface. That's pretty wonderful. And the blue that I just added is Artfinity Indigo liquid watercolor. So it is a different kind of blue from the Anthracnone. And it does not disappoint me. This paper actually does so much better than I expected it to. I honestly thought this would probably be a bust, but it's anything but, in my opinion. This is fun. And just so many creative options. Time for some paper towel. I just remembered I forgot to use any of the white gel pen. So let's see how I can screw that up. I can tell this part of the paper is starting to get tired. Maggie, it's okay. She really gets upset when neighbors just exist, because they didn't ask her permission, and she does not approve. See, I spend all this time being very careful, and then turn around and throw my paintbrush. But not on purpose. Okay, cool. And I can see where the liquid watercolor is soaking through the white dot. The Posca stuff actually dries pretty quickly. And that's a nice thing too. Now I'm going to come over with some gold. And I do like the semi-transparent ones like this, so. Alright, one last little zzz. And now let's take off the tape and see what happens. I think I'm going to get some frog tape in the future and see if it creates a cleaner line. Because this painter's tape was whatever Walmart had. And it does do a much better job. See, look how crooked I got that. Anyway, it doesn't rip the paper surface, which is a wonderful thing. So let's see if I can make it a little bit better down the road. See, and sometimes it does a great job on the edges, and other times it doesn't. So, all right, I wish I hadn't made that so crooked, but I did. This has been Stroke by Stroke. I hope you enjoyed this experiment and the new supplies. I'm giving this all a thumbs up. And I hope you do what makes you happy. And I will see you in the next video. In the meantime, be as gentle with yourself as you possibly can be, and with others. You never know what somebody's dealing with. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. I'll see you in the next video.